All right. What's going on, Sam?
Oh, not a whole lot. I suppose still recovering from the events of last Saturday night.
What a crazy, crazy game.
That's one way to put it, yes.
I mean,
So
that's
much
just,
going on.
I don't know. That's just crazy. It took me 2 days to digest that. Just to wrap my head around what happened.
Oh, hey.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, I was saying that just took it took me 2 days to like wrap my head around that.
Have you actually been able to do that, and are you on to TCU at this point? Or do you find yourself still going back and reliving that?
It I mean, it took it. No, I've been diving in. I haven't looked at one thing like stat wise or anything about TCU at all. I've just been diving
uh,
into the Baylor stuff.
you sent me that win expectancy chart, and you know how I love those kind of things, and that was a lot of fun to see. But this is something I've been kind of like. I'm still not past it. Like, I'm still thinking about it on a daily basis. Part of it is that my YouTube TV says, "Hey, you might want to watch this." I'm like, "Okay, I'll watch it again." Uh, looking for nuance, I suppose. Uh, but was it a good game? This is something I've been debating with myself pretty much all day today. Was that a good football game?
You know, it was an exciting football game.
Like,
There
between
is,
your sigh and the use of the word exciting, I think those were the two things that I went to most often while debating this with myself.
I think that was a good half of a football game. At least one of the teams played very, very well for half of a football game.
Yeah, and I kind of felt the same way about that Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots. When I watched that for the first time, everyone was like, "Oh, this was a great game." Like, no, it kind of sucked. It was two different games. Like,
Yeah,
for a team to get up by that many points, there's a lot of bad football going on, and for a team to come back in a half, there's a lot of bad football going on. So, like, if people saying, "Oh, that was such a good game," I don't know if good is the word I would use.
yeah.
I
Entertaining,
know you
exciting. Yes, absolutely.
historic, I guess, is a word you could use.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
Do you know?
and this is something that I've gone off on. I'll usually do it 3 or 4 times a year. It's usually during basketball season, though. Just because a game is close doesn't mean a game was good.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Absolutely. Um, games can be entertaining. The Cheez-It Bowl was entertaining, but that was like the worst football game ever played.
Or best.
Well, I mean that's the point, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly the point. Is what are you looking for in the game? You
Yeah.
know, are you looking for a high level of play, incredibly skilled people? You know, that probably wasn't it, at least for most of it. Um, but
Would you say, you
very
know,
strange game.
another game that, kind of, it's not to the extent of that one, but the Oklahoma Tennessee game? I feel like that one was kind of similar
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
fact that,
It's
Oklahoma didn't
pretty
do
ugly
anything
for
until
most of it, but super
that.
exciting at the end.
Would you say that was a good game?
Uh, Okay, I think if you're exciting and engaging at the end of it, I think you're probably in good game territory. But there are some
It's
games that the score is close and it was neither well played nor was it entertaining.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those like kind of snoozers that end up with a close score. Those
So
are definitely the bad. Like that wasn't a good game. It was just a game.
by the end of this night, we're gonna have a rubric to determine whether or not a game was good or not, and like that will be the definitive measure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think we've heard about this game as much as we did that Tennessee game, and I'm not sure why. But I think if the Big 12 were to have their own network, or ESPN Classic, for instance, which game is more likely to be shown on ESPN Classic? I think it's probably that Tennessee game.
Yeah, I think so. It's got the overtime. It's got it wasn't a blowout. I like
Mm-hmm.
the thing about the Baylor game is it all just happened seemingly so fast.
Like blink and it was out of control.
Well, it was weird. Like Baylor had very few offensive plays at all in the second half. I think they had like 16.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma went on like 3 12-play drives. I mean which is weird for them. They
Mm-hmm.
they don't grind the ball out like they were doing in that game. It was I don't know. It was very strange. Thanks Dax15 and Body7 for the subscriptions.
It's strange because that's what they've needed to do in the past couple of weeks to win the game, like to hold on, against Iowa State, just you know run 12 play drives, 5 minutes off the clock, finally put it in the end zone. Had they done that at the start of the third quarter against Kansas State, maybe that's a different outcome. But when you're down by 25 points and that's what you go to, it's kind of odd and kind of perplexing. And maybe it's the fact that CeeDee Lamb wasn't there. Maybe they didn't think they could get the I think he's averaging something like 20 yards a reception. So maybe they didn't think they had the big play capability, and so they got the running backs involved a little more in the passing game. Stogner, that might have been his breakout game. It was a very odd way to come back from such a large deficit, considering what we had seen out of the offense the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're spot on. I think you're right on the money there. I'm Burke. Serious question.
Burkage.
I want your legit answer. What does the committee see in Utah? I think the committee sees, for one, a more consistent team. A team that's playing their best football now. I think those are two things that they have over Oklahoma at the moment.
I think one of the things that I heard them say, and honestly, I haven't watched a whole hell of a lot of Utah football, but in the game they lost to USC, they were without one of their best players, and so they take that into account. What's odd to me is CeeDee Lamb is probably Oklahoma's best player, and they just won a game against a ranked team, and that didn't seem to affect them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. They're deep. They got weapons for days. That was never more apparent than last Saturday.
I mean, just getting those kids on the field and, getting Jalen, I guess, maybe more comfortable, trusting the guys is part of it. When you've got, the safety net that is CeeDee Lamb, maybe the best receiver in the country, you can get away with some stuff, but when he's not there, you're going to have to find some other way to produce. And the kids, they came out and they had a hell of a game.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Theo Weiss's catches and those, especially the catch and run, He made a couple people miss. Looked like CD Light.
Let's see here. What do we got? Super methodic football from OU. Haven't seen that from Lincoln Riley team yet, which was exciting. It's different.
It was
it's a different style of ball. It's a different style of ball, and I think you're going to be a more rounded offense if you can move the ball in different ways. Up tempo, slow it down, depending on game situation.
Yeah. I'm Burke. Utah lost to 4-6 USC, and their best win is Arizona State. Yeah, I agree. But this kind of gets into, I feel like, the question that I posed. Well, I told everyone, I teased a little on Twitter.
Did you?
Question that I want to get into, I think, with you in the chat. So the college football playoff, they're in their protocol, in their, like, how we're going to go about our business. Mm-hmm. They say explicitly that they are out to rank the best teams. So they're out to choose the top 4 to go to the playoff, the top 4 best teams. And so my question is, should a ranking, an invitational, as you said, I mean, these
are your words that I use.
This is a it's not a playoff. You don't earn your way in. Like, college football has never been that way. So this is an issue of an invitational. You get invited for some reason. A committee invites you. Okay? Should that be the committee thinking that you're one of the best teams, or should it be the most deserving teams? Because in the past few years, it seems like, even though they explicitly say that this should be, or we're out to pick the 4 best teams, in the past, there's been, at the very least, a blend of deserving and best. I mean, simply just using top 25 wins and things like that, that in itself that has nothing to do with how good you are. That has to do with how deserving you are.
How good your opponents are.
Right. You could be the best team in America and play the worst schedule, but you wouldn't get in based on those measures because that is a most deserving argument. That is, how did you do, like, relative to other teams? And so
what was your actual question here?
So the actual question is, what should the college football playoff be?
Like,
should it be the best? Yes. If we were deciding what their protocol or what their thing should be, should it be the best teams? Should it be the most deserving teams? Or should it be some mix of the two? I feel like the mix of the two is problematic because, you're gonna use one or the other to justify your decision in the end. You see what I mean?
Sure.
So, what should it be? Best or most deserving?
I think if you're trying to determine a champion, you want the best teams is what you should be going for.
You should be going for the best teams.
Yes, if the whole purpose of this is to determine the champion of college football, then you should be choosing the best teams.
Okay. Why the best teams and not the most deserving teams?
That's just kind of how I feel about all playoffs. If the end game, if we're playing these games to win championships, then it should be the best teams, which is why the baseball playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs, it's a crapshoot. If they want a true champion and not revenue, which honestly that's all this is. It's all money. They would declare a champion after 162 games. And so like we've got to take that into account when we're what we want versus what the networks and the conferences and the schools all want. For me, I want a champion. I want to see the best versus the best.
Well, I mean, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. You said, all other playoffs. Well, in all other playoffs,
Here comes something else. Yeah.
Well, in all other playoffs, those teams that make the playoffs are literally deserving to be there because they literally earned it.
All right,
a good team can miss the playoffs if they're going up against other good teams and happen to lose a few key games.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to fall on the other side. I think I would rather see a 4-team playoff of most deserving teams. I think a byproduct of that would be better scheduling. If you made an emphasis of most deserving teams, then you better bet Alabama's going to be scheduling Michigan and Ohio State and Texas and
that.
I'm telling you.
No, you keep going. You're good. I gotta find something.
So I think there would be, for a most deserving, I think there would be more pressure to boost your strength of schedule, boost those top 25 wins, boost all those things that the committee says they look at that have nothing to do with whether or not that's the best team, but only have to do with whether or not that's the most deserving team.
Sure.
I think that's a good way to do it. Okay, so maybe there won't be any change because that seems to be what they're actually doing right now.
Uh-huh.
There are other measures to measure how good a team is, probably more accurate than, a college football ranking, using top 25 wins and strength of schedule and all that.
Sure, and I think, when you've got 130 teams that are, technically eligible for this, in reality it's maybe 8, 10.
Yeah.
It's and you've like you said, you've got these schedules that are so unbalanced. That's a hard thing to measure. What I was looking up here, you were talking about scheduling. Have you seen what Georgia's got lined up?
Yes, Georgia is going all in.
Holy shit, man!
I think there's a year where they play Oklahoma and Clemson in the same year. Something crazy like that.
Like I've got their non-conference Power Fives from 2020 to 2033. But the ones that stick out at me, 2028 through 2031, they've already got 3 non-conference games scheduled. Starting in 2028, Florida State at Texas, Georgia Tech. 2029, Texas at Clemson at Georgia Tech. 2030, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia Tech. 2031, Oklahoma at Ohio State at Georgia Tech. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, they've gone all in, for sure. That's gonna be a hell of a strength of schedule when that's all said and done.
Well, and
I mean, Clemson may not be there in 10 years.
Texas won't.
We don't know.
You want to put that on the? You want to put that one? You want to put that on the books right now?
Yeah, it's probably true.
But
Ohio
nice
State's going to be there. I mean, these are like perennial teams.
Sure.
Oklahoma and Ohio State. Did you say Oklahoma and Ohio State in the same year?
Yes.
That's wild. That is wild.
2031, Oklahoma at Ohio State and at Georgia Tech.
That's so crazy. You think, well, maybe one of those is going to, maybe the older one of those two is going to, fall through at some point. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's nice that they're getting ahead of this. I guess this is a trend we've seen in college football. And Oklahoma's kind of been at the forefront of this. Trying to get those marquee games scheduled. When kids that'll be playing in them aren't even conceived yet.
Yeah.
But another thing that I think we got to keep in mind is by this point, college football might not look the same that it does today. You've got the Big 12 TV contracts coming up in 22, 23, something like that. And who knows where the hell, if the big realignment from like 2010 or whatever like taught me anything, it's just expect the unexpected, I guess.
Yeah. Our guy Oni Kudo says every idiot on ESPN has a different definition of what best is. I hate this debate. It should always be deserving. He goes on to say, if you're going to have a top 25 ranking in the first place, beating more top 25 teams should hold more water.
Sure.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, beating a top 25 team does not make you a better team. You are the team you are. The outcomes of games are shockingly not as correlated with how good a team is as you think they are, as you would think they are. I kind of got into a discussion today on Twitter with Chris Plank, about kind of, comparing certain metrics and certain rankings and things like that. He says, my weekly reminder, if you're using FPI to justify any ranking, you're doing it wrong. That or you didn't watch college football on November 9th. And he posts a screenshot of the FPI, which has Alabama above LSU, Penn State above Minnesota, and a few other kind of similar situations, right? Mm-hmm. And, so there's a few things with that, right? So first off, the FPI is a predictive index. Its whole purpose is to try to give teams a rating, and then if those teams play each other, be able to tell you which one has the better chance of winning. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, like I said, wins or that final score of a single game is like a really bad indicator of, how good a team is. Because there's a whole lot that is hugely impactful on that final score. A whole lot of random stuff like turnovers. And so
we're doing this again?
Yeah, we are. I mean, I'm not going to go into turnovers, but that is part of it. So the perfect example is Kansas State beating Oklahoma. Now, no one in their right mind thinks that Kansas State should be ranked above Oklahoma, correct?
I'm not going to make that argument.
Okay.
Not tonight, at least. Or not. I mean, let me get another whiskey in me, and then we'll see.
Yeah. So first off, like, I get there's some key differences, obviously. Kansas State's lost a bunch of games, and Oklahoma's only lost that one. But even all things being equal, even among one-loss teams, you can't use the outcome of a single game to say this team is better than another team. Because there's a lot of unpredictable stuff that goes into that one single game.
Sure.
What it boiled down to is essentially, if you're trying to find the best teams, then sure, use a predictive index. They're great. Use the Fremo index. It's the best performing predictive index this year by kind of a big margin. It's the FEI. Use that. If you're trying to get the best teams, use something that is made to predict what team would win most of the time.
Fair.
Now, if you're trying to rank teams based on who deserves to be in, don't even look at a predictive index because that's not what they do. That's
I think
not.
you might be. I think you might be turning me here.
That's because that's not what they do. That's not what they were built to do.
Sure.
And if you think that a team beating another team in an important game is important to whether or not they should make a playoff, then you're not talking about best. You're talking about most deserving.
Something that I read today. It was in some athletic mailbag, I think. But they were talking. Somebody asked, what's the deal with Georgia at 4? How's Georgia 4? Why is Georgia 4? And it's because they mentioned the South Carolina loss. Now that's not a very good loss, but what they came down to is like you're looking at one game, that at this point is 10% of their season instead of you're missing 90% of it if you're focusing on that one game. So let's see here. Dirty Marty, he's very curious. We haven't actually gotten to this yet, but does Oklahoma still have a chance at the playoffs? If so, what needs to happen?
Ideally, all the unbeatens, except for maybe Clemson, need to continue to be unbeaten. So LSU, Ohio State for sure. They need to go on and be undefeated. Clemson, I think, if they lose, I think they're done. I think they're just waiting to drop Clemson. And then, like I said, ideally, one or both of the Oregon-Utah pair needs to drop a game
The state
before
of
the
Arizona,
championship, before they play each other. Essentially,
Arizona is Oklahoma's friend this week.
yes.
Arizona's got one of them. Arizona State's got the other. So at this point, I am less optimistic this week than I was a week ago about about Oklahoma's chances. Just seeing how the committee has handled Oklahoma's win over Baylor, it's like, they beat a Baylor team, I guess, and they're ranked for some reason. We'll only drop them a spot. They're good, but they're not that good. Their non-conference is dog shit. I think if Oklahoma were to have like a real chance, they would have needed to have made a bigger move this week. In his press conferences, Lincoln Riley saying, winning will take care of itself. Well, that kind of thinking went out the window when you lose to Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, and to be fair, like a lot of these scenarios are incredibly unlikely, right? So, I think I looked earlier today. It was something like LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Oregon, Alabama, and Georgia. Not Georgia. And Oklahoma, all winning out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like less than 5% chance that happens.
Yeah.
It may be the most likely scenario at some crazy number less than 5%, but it's more likely that some other scenario plays out, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be definitely interesting. It's only week 3. Oklahoma's in their worst position. Oklahoma's in their worst position.
It's week 3, and it's like, oh, there's 3 weeks left.
Well, Oklahoma's in their worst position that they would be in their worst position that they've ever had and still make the playoff. They were 6 one year, 7 one year, and 4 one year.
I think I read today that the lowest that anybody has come from this poll from week 3 to making the playoffs was Michigan State, and they were 9. So, not completely unprecedented. It's just, is it a long shot at this point? Is that?
Yes, absolutely.
Would we really want to be in the playoffs, though? I'd love it, but how would we compare to the top 4 right now? Now, that is a question, that gets gets asked on Twitter all the time. It's a very big talking point at tailgates and amongst fans. Like, do we want to go into the playoffs, or would we just want to go to the Sugar Bowl? The answer is always we want to be in the playoffs.
You always want to be playing for a championship.
You can't win a championship if you're not there.
No,
so,
absolutely.
You may be facing, the best team that's ever been put together. But if you're not there, you don't have a shot at it. Absolutely.
I mean, do you not want to make the tournament? Do you not want to make the NCAA tournament? Would you rather go to the NIT because you think you can win it? That's dumb. That's so dumb. I don't know. That's the worst. That's the worst thing.
We're all just playing devil's advocate at this point. Yeah, that's kind of just what the whole entire college football season is.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, what if this one team, beats this team but loses this team by 3 points, but beats this other team by 16 points? Is that going to increase their SP plus by enough that Oklahoma can jump them and get into the playoff that they don't want to be in? I'm seeing some support for 8-team playoffs, a 6-team playoff, a bring back the BCS. Any given day, a team can win. Kansas State over Oklahoma. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
The All-State playoff predictor is straight trash as well. I find that most metrics that have a corporate sponsorship are just dog shit, and I don't believe anything they are trying to get across. Like the PlayStation player impact player rating. Yeah. I don't think I've seen anyone below a 90 on that. And I think maybe they're just showing the good players.
That's one of those things where that's like a who's who of American high school students. It's like
your parents just paid for it.
Yeah.
Paid for the book so you could be in it.
Yeah, and the scale is like 90 to 100, so it always looks awesome.
Let's see here. Evansville over Kentucky. We know Evansville's not better, but nor a more talented team, just the best performers that night.
Honey Kunos is bring back the Bowl Alliance. I mean, I don't know. I think what was happening is better than what we have. And as far as like 6 or 8, I would rather go 8 than 6. I think giving a bye is weird. I think you let people play it out on the field. Because what the thing is like, so in the NFL, right? You earn a bye in that playoff.
Yeah.
In college football, you don't. It gets gifted to you.
Sure.
For we've been over all the reasons. Like there's a million reasons why that bye week, which could be invaluable, gets gifted to you. So I don't like the bye. I don't like that. I would rather have some power of 2, 4, 8, 64. I don't care.
64.
Just start at the beginning of the season with 128 FBS teams, seed them, and let them go.
Do that for one season. Let's just the hell with it.
Let's just give her hell for one season. See how it ends up.
If we don't like it, we'll go back to this nonsense that we're doing now. I mean, it's no worse than what we're doing.
Screwtape says that would be awesome.
Bring back the computers and keep the playoff. I think we kind of talked about this sometime.
I think the computers should be part of it. So I think there should be. I think a committee is best served deciding on who the most deserving teams are, and a computer is best served deciding on who the best teams are. So if you want some mix of that, then it would be great if you had a mix of a committee and a computer.
So somebody has come up with this idea. They have thought this through.
So this has been proposed?
I don't know if it's been proposed, but...
Was it Harbaugh?
It was Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. I just linked that in the chat. This comes from an article earlier this month.
But he had like wacky numbers of people in the tournament or something. It was like 10 or some stupid number. It's probably it's probably a prime number. It was like 13.
So basically, how this works is each conference's top regular season team and the top ranked non-Power 5 team, I guess we call that Group of 5 now, get the first 6 spots. The top 5 of the 6 teams get a bye in the first round. The 6th team will become the BCS new number 1 seed.
That's
so
weird.
Like in this example, I don't know what year this is from. Somebody can probably tell me. Power 5 first place Alabama. Power 5 second place Clemson. Top ranked non-Power 5 team. Oh, I guess this is where that comes into effect. It's not Group of 5. Because here's Notre Dame at 3. Number 4, Power 5 third place Oklahoma. Power 5 fourth place Ohio State. Then the next 5 highest ranked teams get the BCS at-large bids, and in this one, Washington, Georgia, Michigan, Central Florida, Florida, and LSU. And it's got this weird-ass looking bracket.
Yeah, it'd have to be weird looking.
But yeah, somebody's thought about, bringing the computers back. It's like, I'm sure you would love that, you nerd, so.
I would like it. I don't know. Blinkin says, what was your Twitter handle previous to Lincoln getting here? So this was created in 2017 after he was named head coach. So nothing is the answer. It didn't exist. I mean, I had a personal one, but I never posted anything from it. It was like essentially just like a news feed of sports, actual news, and like comedians and stuff. So
we aren't going to make it. Change my mind.
Ooh. All right. What's the case for Oklahoma? I think the case for Oklahoma...
While you litigate this, I'm going to step away. BRB.
Okay. I think the case for Oklahoma, and this sounds maybe a little petty or cynical, or I don't know what you want to call it, but I think the best case for Oklahoma is it comes down to Big 12 one-loss champion versus Pac-12 one-loss champion, and OU's helmet logo basically gets them in. I mean, I think it's a little naive to think that the college football playoff, a committee literally put together to, yes, they say pick the best teams, but it's also a business. ESPN has a vested interest in it. I'm sure other people, BCS Limited, or whatever the company is that owns the college football playoffs, obviously has a vested interest in it. So at the end of the day, all things being equal, can't decide. You go with the money, right? So I think that is your ticket into the college football playoff, is the interlocking OU.
I caught the last 3 seconds of that. It's just basically being Oklahoma.
Yes.
No.
Logo, baby. We need 3 demonstrative wins to even squeeze in my opinion. This is Vector 78. Mm-hmm. If we play these 3.7 or wins, and playing down to opponents is going to hurt. TCU took Baylor into 3 overtimes. Yes, you cannot. There's no such thing as style points.
Like hell, there isn't.
If you lead the game for like 2 minutes of game time, like Oklahoma did last week or whatever the hell it was, that's and so that's not game control. It's the opposite of game control. And the committee said that they don't look at game control. That's not a metric we use. But it's funny how there's a couple of guys, Adam McClintock and Dave Bartu, who literally can guess with incredible precision the like top 15 teams in the college football playoff rankings every single week for years using this method that is called the Hancock model. And does that name sound familiar to you, Tom?
Hancock. Yeah, it rings a bell.
That is named after Bill Hancock, creator and leader of the college football playoff. And it takes into account something called game control. So, whatever Mullins is feeding us is, yes, maybe that's not what they call it, but it's going to be something incredibly similar to game control. He said as much anyway. He says, it's not just the outcomes that we watch. We actually watch the games and how they unfold. Okay, well, that's exactly what game control is trying to measure. So, yes, you're doing that. You're just being obtuse or something. I don't know. It was frustrating hearing that.
Well, I'm just.
If you couldn't tell, Tom.
I'm just doing a quick Google search on game control. Because it seems like it's just been something that's, to me, has popped up over the last couple of weeks. I don't remember it being a real talking point. But it goes back to 2014. Like, that's the first thing that came up when I searched it. Murky game control becomes tool for playoff committee. College Football Playoff Committee Chairman Jeff Long admits game control is a, quote, somewhat subjective tool that comes into play selecting teams. This article comes from November 21st, 2014.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's, I don't know. It's, like I said, it's hard to not to be cynical about this. So,
these quotes are pretty good about it.
Say what?
The quotes from this story are pretty damn good. Game control is when the whistle goes off at the end. That's the only control I'm concerned about, Jimbo Fisher said. We'll move on from there. Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen also expressed concern over the concept. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's cool we're number 2 in it. The last graph in this article. Now let's see if the committee can get better control of game control to articulate it to the public. Well, can I leave a comment on this 5 years later? I could follow this guy.
I'm sure you can.
It's a CBS Sports website, and the website's kind of garbage.
I'm pretty sure.
Before 1965, claim these 15 senior rebates. I could do that. But yes, no.
Yes, no.
What?
Yes, no.
Yes, no. Style points are very much a part of it, and Oklahoma needs to come out and win these games, and they need to win them in a convincing fashion to put themselves in the discussion with a potential one-loss Pac-12 team. And I feel really dumb saying that because I've been like Pac-12 sucks all year, and I'm still not backing down from it. I think the Pac-12, like in general, as a conference, sucks. These teams have just sucked a little less than the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably true. So, what we haven't talked any about TCU. What are your thoughts on TCU, Tom? Do you think Oklahoma is inconsistent again? Do you think Oklahoma's as inconsistent as they have been? Do you think they come out and, give them a good old-fashioned beating, like I say old-fashioned, like a month ago? Or what do you think happens? Yeah, I think they'll do well too, Tom. I don't know what's going on with Tom, but
Oh, hey, I think it was actually that CBS Sports website I was on.
oh, that was killing it.
Figure. I think I'm back.
Oh, okay, yeah,
TCU's this week. Is that what you were saying?
yeah. What do you think of TCU? What do you think? What
Well,
What do you think Oklahoma's going to do? Do you think they're going to be same old Oklahoma, like good old Oklahoma, beating people by 30? Do you think they're going to be inconsistent, wonky, weird, crazy, fluky fumbles all the time? Like, what do you think? What do you got?
well, I don't want to comment on the fluky fumbles because those are random. They might be here in this game. They might not be.
That is very true. That's a very good point, Tom.
TCU is one of those teams that I think because of Gary Patterson being their head coach, you can't discount them. They're not the TCU team that we played in the Big 12 championship game a couple of years ago. I think they're on their 17th quarterback. But I'm never going to rule out a Gary Patterson coach team.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He's one of the best coaches in the Big 12, and he's a defensive coach. And I don't know, I like defensive head coaches. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Lincoln Riley, but I love defensive head coaches. So I don't know.
I think Oklahoma's gonna try and get that running back run game going again. I think Brooks ended up with something like 93 yards in that last game, which is a good start to reestablishing the running backs. And it'll be interesting. We still don't know about the availability of CeeDee Lamb, who's just he missed last week's game with it was a medical decision, I think is how they termed it. And so, if he's out, they've proven they can beat a pretty good team without him. So I don't expect Oklahoma to get down by 25 points. But I've seen it twice in the last couple of weeks. So, what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I want to say like Oklahoma by 21, 22, something like that. But I'm almost a little gun shy.
What's the line at? Around 14?
I think it's around 14. So that's probably about right. But I don't know. As Rev says, at home, final home game of the year. I agree. I think it's going to be a solid game for Oklahoma. I think seniors are going to be up. I think the team's going to be up. It's going to be a primetime game. Everybody's going to be fired up. I think it'll be good.
The fans, are the fans going to be up?
I don't know. Who knows? Fans going to stay. I mean, I can't blame them. I'm going to be, watching it from a couch or a bar stool. So
okay, all right. So you asked me what I thought about the TCU game. I knew I'd written it down somewhere. It was in our group chat. The predictions for the Baylor game.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna revisit these? I don't know if you remember it. Yeah. All right. So it was asked predictions for the game. Oklahoma Baylor. Oklahoma 48, Baylor 17. Woof.
Damn.
Defense makes a statement. Sure. I guess in the second half they did.
And they did. They did.
Can I give myself half credit?
Yeah, I will allow half credit. Yes.
I think they also made a statement that they were pretty bad in the first half. So I'm gonna take full credit. More consistent offense, eventually, I suppose. And then the last one was Brooks has 100 yards rushing, which I missed by 7 yards. So I'm going to give myself 0.93 on that. I think he had 93 yards.
I put $10 on a prop bet that CeeDee Lamb was going to have 2 touchdowns about half hour before the game. So, yeah, that's how my predictions went.
Establish the run early, soften up the edges and the slant routes. Sounds like a good one. Stacking the box, take the top off the defense. Hazelwood and Weeze. If no CD, I don't see CD out for the last home game. Which, while it's senior night, he's not quite a senior. This is a very good possibility that this will be his last time stepping on Owen Field.
Yeah. Bare lips.
Yep.
One of my favorite things to do on Mondays is go back and read Texas message board meltdowns. Do you ever do this? I don't ever go actually to the message boards, but I got a couple of good sources like Sooner Gridiron and those guys. Like, they're always posting the stuff, and it's so good. It is so good.
Some of the stuff, like, I looked, somebody put together a couple of tweets of, screenshots from it, and I was like, is this satire? Are these real people posting?
Yeah. My favorite is they just think they can go hire Oklahoma's head coach, as if Oklahoma to Texas is like a major step up. It's like from a mid-tier school to an elite school. That's my favorite. That's my favorite damn thing. And it happened during Bob Stoops' career. It happened the second Bob Stoops retired. Now it's happened with Lincoln Riley. Oh, it's amazing. It's so good. So good.
Yeah, I think my favorite one that I saw was, go after Lincoln Riley. Like, it's a good idea, and it hurts OU.
Yeah. Oh, so good. The best one, I don't know. There was a few that from the other day that were really good. So there was one that's Oklahoma's, or Big 12 is Oklahoma's world now. Sick and tired of this crap sandwich. Oh, that's so good. So good.
Another college football season, another Central Michigan snub by the College Football Playoff Committee. Unreal. I thought they had it in them this year. Central Michigan. I thought they were the best team in Michigan.
Yeah. They might have been.
Last year they said, we're Aggies now, aren't we?
That's so great.
Well, I suppose if the shoe fits.
Honest question, is Texas a true blue blood? Love it.
Did you sign up for it?
I'm 33, and Texas has been good about 5 years I've been alive. We're a baseball, swimming, and volleyball school.
They may be bad, but Aggie is a whole nother level. Honest question, would Texas win the MAC?
I don't know. I would go as far as to say there's maybe a 50-50 chance that Texas wins the American.
Yeah.
Or maybe the
probably the MAC, but I wouldn't bet on the American.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. From the message boards. Name 3 things Tom Herman is objectively good at. The value proposition when Tom Herman was hired was that we were getting a young offensive genius at the forefront of innovation on that side of the ball. That has been so laughably off the mark that it's not worth discussing. Instead, can we name any 3 things he is objectively good at? 3 coaching things, I mean. Tom Herman is good at blank. There's one reply. It says big words. I got nothing. The original poster of that forum post His profile picture is of Eeyore, which I have to assume is related.
I would think, yes.
Rev says dropping sledgehammers. Texas is Conference USA runner-up. Maybe. Yeah. Tulsa would probably play them and lose by 1 point like they have everyone else.
Yeah, maybe drop Texas to Conference USA for while we're making up 128 team playoffs.
Wait.
The course of a season.
Tom, are you advocating promotion and relegation system? Because I'm on board with that.
Realignment.
Tom Herman is good at having some elite players.
Rev is all about realignment, promotion, and relegation. Some.
So good. All right, Tom. We're just about coming up on an hour. Any final thoughts going into the weekend?
Let's go Wildcats of Arizona. Let's go Sun Devils of Arizona State. Yeah. Looking elsewhere at this point.
So I say yes. I second that. Go Arizona State. Go Arizona. Go Baylor.
Baylor Rails, Texas. We got OU 45, TCU 30.
All right. I'm gonna go something like 42-21, something like that.
What did I say about that Baylor game?
48-17. 48-17.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
There you go. Double down. Let it ride. Sir, there's no bet left.
Do we got a Central Michigan Toledo prediction?
Ooh. Central Michigan and Toledo. Let me just pull her up. It's fitting to tell me here.
Is this your predictive index?
No.
No.
I'm doing a little quick research here. Give me Toledo and give me Central Michigan. Okay. I'm going to go Toledo. Or no, I'm going to go Central Michigan. Is that game in Ohio or Michigan? That is in Central Michigan. Give me Central Michigan by 7.
You heard it here first. Central Michigan by 7 in the Central Michigan Toledo game.
Central Michigan by 7. USC UCLA. That's a crap fest.
Over under how many Twitter meltdowns? Well, we got taken UCLA by 6. Twitter meltdowns, I'll say 2. We're going to go with 2 Twitter meltdowns.
Over under 1.5. You're going to go take the over?
I'll take the over.
Nice. I'm going to go with USC 2 touchdowns. We'll go 13 or 14. USC by 14. he calls it a crap fest after predicting Central Michigan Toledo. Oh man. All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks for coming out.
Oh,
Love
hey,
y'all.
hey, hold on.
What do we got?
This is gonna be the last time we talk to him before next week. And you know what next week is, right? You want to give him a little taste of what you're gonna be up to next week?
Oh yeah. So, a little inside info. Next week is Bedlam Week. So, usually I do my big thread of Bedlam facts. This time, I'm going to be doing a Bedlam fact thread, 88 facts long, one for every win.
One Bedlam fact for every win. How are you gonna roll this out?
It'll be a thread on Twitter.
You gonna start? You gonna few each day or?
No, this is gonna be.
I'll
probably post. I'll probably post it. I'll probably post it on Friday morning.
You know what? Go ahead and have an 89th one ready that you can drop as soon as the game ends.
Yes. Okay. I will. That's a good idea, Tom. Always looking out.
Always.
Yes. So get ready for that week. I don't know. I might throw it on Friday. I might do it earlier in the week. But we'll see. We'll see. But yes, that will be the Bedlam Fact thread will be a huge thread this year. So be looking out.
Ooh,
you heard it here first.
You can cheat and pull the 89th from the 89th win.
Ooh, yeah. That would be awesome.
Be on the lookout there.
Very good, very good, very good idea. Remember, Central Michigan beat Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State made rings that said they didn't lose to Central Michigan. God, that's so hilarious.
Goddamn.
That's so awesome.
All right. On that note.
All right. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Thanks for the chat. Great discussion. We will see you next week.
Later, guys.
Later.